Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be sharing the LinkedIn routine that I'm using on a more regular basis to help me effectively generate more consistent leads through LinkedIn. Because if at the moment you are maybe just feeling a bit burnt out with LinkedIn in terms of, say, what you're doing, then this isn't obviously something you're going to be able to stick to, and you're going to find it very inconsistent when it comes to your lead gen. So I just want to basically walk you through what I'm currently doing. So the first things first is that when it comes to being able to really I start off by connecting with about 20 maybe to 30 ideal clients per day. Now this will be through LinkedIn Sales Nav, but the reason why I do this is that being able to connect with more ideal clients, to 20 to 30 every day, means that I know I'm getting in front of the ideal client. I know that these people, I'll be able to see my profile, they're just going to be able to see more of me. And obviously, depending on how many accept, which usually, in my opinion, 30% acceptance rate is usually a pretty good number, obviously 30% and plus. But if you can have something around like that, then when they connect with you, they're also going to be more likely to see your content as well, which is obviously going to help, right? And if you keep actually connecting with, say, 20 to 30 people every day, then what you're going to look at is just a lot of more ideal clients that are going to be more likely to see what you're doing as well. So that's really the first thing I like to do. So the second thing is really just responding to messages, right? So usually I would have done some messaging beforehand, and what this just means is that it means that just all in one go I can get through all my messages. It's pretty simple, nothing crazy with that. So that's that. Now the next thing I like to do is I like to then follow up all previous conversations where say I hadn't got messages from. Now, just for reference here, when I am tracking conversations, I use a CRM, and the CRM I use is called Folk. Um, so it's called Folk CRM, and this is really quite useful because you can actually integrate it with LinkedIn, and you can really access the CRM from just LinkedIn with a Chrome extension. I'm not going to cover too much about the CRM individually, but I can obviously cover it in more detail if that's something that's needed. But what it just means is that I can look at the messages that I did send, like the previous day, and I can just simply just bump up the messages just in case, because I'm going to pre-assume that they're busy, right, and that they hadn't just looked at the message and ignored it, just because a lot of people are busy, and especially on LinkedIn, people are busy. So be able to follow them up once or twice. Obviously, in this case, you only follow them up once. Just means that you're not just essentially throwing away a conversation just because they didn't respond to that first message. So now we actually get into some stuff which you might not be as familiar with. So now we want to actually, or at least what I tend to do, is effectively start doing warm outreach. So here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for my what I call intent-based leads, and obviously my handwriting is pretty bad, but please bear with. So we're going to be looking for intent-based leads. Now, these are people that have really intentionally made that first move towards you in some way, right? So this will be, or at least, and by this I mean like, as in they've shown some form of interest in you or what you're doing, right? So this might be, say, a new connection. This might be a profile viewer. This might be, say, like a follower, or even just someone that's, say, engaged with, say, your recent content, right? So these are really just the core, at least the four areas, in my opinion, that cover up intent-based leads. And what I like to do here is I like to be able to gather up all of these type of individuals and open up all of their profiles. And effectively from there, I'm then going to send them, a message, right? Right. So I'm going to go and actually message all of these individuals. Now, this is nothing crazy, right? I don't use any crazy fancy templates. Really, all I'm trying to focus on doing is simply, going like as simple as, hey name, and then I'd obviously, and then from there, I'd share maybe just a small thing about how I found them. So, if I've just recently connected with them, I'd probably be like, hey name, thanks for connecting. That's really that. If I saw them my profile view, I'd be like, hey name, saw you view my profile. Or maybe if they engaged, I would be like, hey name, thanks for supporting my content, right? That's really the first thing I do. So really, obviously here, this would just be sort of like where I found them. Then from there, I then have personalization. So the reason why is because you want to treat the people that you message as humans as opposed to just leads that like in a CRM that you can message, right? And you want to show that you've taken the time to really message them and look at them and what they're doing. Now, when people think of personalization, they often think of, okay, I just need to look at something they're doing and compliment it. That is true. However, it's even better if you can compliment something that they genuinely would like hearing and that they would genuinely appreciate, right? So, for example, let's say I looked at someone's recent post and I saw they had just run a marathon or they just finished a marathon or they just had some form of achievement. If I compliment something specific about that and say, hey, that must have been really difficult to do, congrats on being able to do that. If I was that person who had, done that achievement or that really difficult thing, and I've had someone not just compliment it, but actually share a bit more about how it took, like some hard effort and hard work, I would probably be like, huh, this is actually pretty genuine. And this is the whole idea in terms of really getting good personalized messages to people. Because if you don't just compliment them, but compliment something that they would appreciate, and you just really show that, obviously that like it doesn't have to be lines and lines and lines of compliments, but if you can at least just give them a compliment on something that they think would actually be nice to them, then this is going to make them a lot more likely to a like you, but b to actually respond, right? Because this is why we do the personalization, because we want them to respond. And then, really, the last thing I do in that message is ask a question. Now, usually, this question is going to be in relation to, like, effectively, like what I do, right? Or at least in relation to the topic of what I do. So, for example, for me, I might ask something in relation to, say, how's your LinkedIn lead gen going, or something like that, right? Now, you want to make this somewhat specific, right? Because if I were just to say, how's business, right? Yeah, sure. It's a broad question. Yeah, sure. It's easier to answer. However, because it's so broad, people can obviously answer it in lots of different ways and already can do it very vaguely. However, if I ask something as specific as how's your LinkedIn lead gen going, or even something along those lines, it means that they know exactly what I'm referring to, and they know exactly, well, it's going well, it's not going well, right? Or something in between. But the reason why we ask these questions, or at least why I ask this question, is because then you can direct the conversation and then you can effectively just start, like, identifying, do they have a problem that you can solve? If they do, then you can obviously get them onto a call. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this. I do actually have some other videos on warm outreach a bit further. But really, that's the whole idea. And then, really, from there, it's just a matter of responding to say previous messages that pop up from the messages you had sent throughout the day. Now, this is really what my sort of, I suppose, daily routine tends to look like. Right, we connect with ideal clients through Sales Nav. We respond to messages. We follow up messages. We effectively find all of the warm leads we have. We send them messages, and then we respond obviously to other messages. So that's really what I do on a regular basis. Now, what you probably wondered is I haven't talked about content yet. Now, for content in terms of a routine wise, I tend to make this or at least batch create this on weekend. So usually this will be every Saturday, where basically I'll block out, maybe a good 2, maybe 3 hours in a day. And I'll block out some time and I'll effectively batch create 7 posts, which I can then schedule for the upcoming week. Now, obviously, content creation is going to vary in terms of the time for like per person. For me, I can usually get it done in maybe 1 hour, 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes like 2 hours or such. For you, obviously, it's going to vary as well. But the reason I do this is because a lot of the time, if you're having to create, or at least if you have the stress of having to create content ideas every single day, or at least regularly, that for me, or at least when I was doing that, it was really quite stressful and it was just another thing going on. And so when I can just dedicate one day, well, not even one day, but even 2 to 3 hours in one day a week, just to focus on making all the content, scheduling ahead, it means that actually, in terms of a routine, I'm only having to really do outreach based stuff, right? Message people, connect with people. Like it's very just, I suppose focused in terms of what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I mean, then again, this isn't something you have to do. This is something that I'm doing. But if you're someone that is often a bit stressed or worried about having to create content regularly or content ideas, I would recommend batch creating content. I have spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs that have shared that batch creation doesn't work for them. I believe it can. I think a lot of it is just how you do it, and honestly speaking, I think if you can just get into a bit of a deep work state, I think that's really going to help as well. But overall, this is pretty much the sort of the LinkedIn routine that I would tend to follow because I think this works quite well in the sense of I focus on the things that matter, right? Because this is obviously assuming that your profile is properly optimized, it's speaking to your ideal clients and such. And the content you're putting out is also, working. I mean, I have a video on the awareness content strategy, which I'll probably link at the end of this video, which which I cover and I believe works really well. Assuming that your profile and your content is good, is clearly communicating what needs to be communicated, and if you follow a similar system to this, you're gonna find more consistent results because by being able to get in front of those ideal clients, connect with them, start conversations, that is going to be the easiest way to get consistent leads. Because if you just rely on, say, the content you're putting out, then that's also going to cause some problems down the line. So if you can find a way, or at least follow this similar system to where you can reach out to those warmer individuals, then I think you're going to find a lot more results. But overall, this is the video. Now, if you are a coach that's trying to sign clients through LinkedIn, I do actually have a free LinkedIn community, or at least a free school community to help you do just that, which you'll be able to join in the description of the video below. However, if you're looking for some one-to-one help with me directly to sign clients through LinkedIn, then I've also got a way for you to book in a time with me so we can chat more. But other than that, I hope you found this useful, and I'll chat soon.